I've never had to deal with this before, for some reason, and I don't know why, but it's a very big concern.
It hasn't come up before.
Well, but it must have, because once every 7 years this should happen. So I don't understand why I've never dealt with this before. I don't know why. But yes, according to Torah, we are not to bake or boil. Can we roast?
No.
On the Sabbath day. And yet there are certain commandments, like we know that if you're commanded to circumcise on the 8th day and it falls on the Sabbath day, that you circumcise anyway. You should have even said that, because there are certain commandments that supersede Shabbat commandments. And yet, for the most part, Shabbat commandments supersede yearly Sabbath commandments. That's rabbinic. I could talk to Nehemiah where this, what he thinks from a Karaite perspective. But this year we have a situation. Houston, Jerusalem, we have a situation. The 14th is on the weekly Shabbat. It ends now to, be sitting down to roast the lamb. This is what I found from the Jewish Encyclopedia, which tends to be reliable historically. Some people may laugh at me, but it was what I was able to find. When this happened in Israel, they didn't do postponements like the rabbinic sometimes do. They would kill the Passover lamb and do the blood on the altar, and I believe even burn the innards on the altar, but they wouldn't let you proceed from there. So on a normal 14th, that's any of the other 6 days, you would come up, either the high priest at a time or in other times you would kill the lamb. The blood goes on the altar. They would skin the entire animal, put the innards on the altar to burn. They would hand you back your lamb, and you were out of there to go. But Shabbat, they would only skin it down to the breast, so that only what you needed to do to skin it to reach in and get the innards. They would then not give you your lamb. No lammy for you. They had to wait, and you would wait until sunset. And then, because they didn't want you to carry the lamb off the Temple Mount, nor did they want you to cook it. So you had to kill it on the 14th. That is clear. But I guess it was felt that it's sort of wishy-washy about the roasting into the 15th. And so it was decided. So this is the best we have. What you decide to do, and I'll suggest what we do in 2015, is that they would kill it on the 14th, but not roast it. And I guess they had a very late Seder those years. This is what I suggest. Do all of your cooking that you can on the 13th, before the 14th, because the 14th will be Shabbat.
Right.
Now, what we're planning to do is get those tasty lamb chops that will cook up really nice. Because if you cook a whole lamb quarter or a roast, it takes like 3 hours.
Right.
Now you can do that. And maybe you cook it afterwards and you sit down to your Seder, depending on where you are at, 10 o'clock at night. Or actually you could be roasting it. I say, no, you could sit down, put it in the oven at sunset, and have a 3-hour Seder and then eat the lamb. I would say is if you want to go by this, don't do any cooking on the weekly Sabbath. You're not, I assume, not going up to the temple in Jerusalem, unless I'll check Jerusalem Post and see if it's been rebuilt. But it's not there. There's no priesthood there. So you're not going to be sacrificing the lamb. So you don't have to worry about that, and do your cooking mostly before, roast your lamb after, either a small portion of it or, hey, make it be a late night. No big deal. But you're supposed to eat the whole thing before sunrise. So very often we're stuffing down lamb late into the night.
When we used to have dogs, they really
the bones. We got rid of the bones.
Leftover. Sometimes we couldn't finish it.
Oh, I can't believe that. Can you imagine we did that? But by sunrise, we were getting rid of it.